What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Command and Console. My name is Jason. Today we have got another recommendations video, and this time it's going to be for the PlayStation 2. Here are 5 PS2 games I want you to try. True Crime New York City. This is the second game in a series of open world police crime games. The first game being True Crime Streets of LA, and the third game is not technically in the series by name, but spiritually is a part of the series. That is the open world Hong Kong game Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs originally began life as True Crime Hong Kong, so I'm including that game in the series because it technically is, in my opinion, a part of the series. True Crime New York City is a really cool kind of GTA clone where you're playing this cop who used to be an ex-gangster, and you're trying to basically right your wrongs, and you're taken into the police force to kind of better your life. Now there is a story here. There is a story, overarching story, but it's more about going in the open world and just being a police officer, frisking people, arresting people, listening to the police radio and reacting to actual real crimes that are happening. So you've got like intercept vehicles, chase down gunmen, or arrest prostitutes on the streets, for example. It's such a fun little game. Is it quite jank for today's standards? Definitely. It's got a bit of that clunky control aspect to it, but I feel like it's a really fun time, and I would argue it's better than the first game, in my opinion, and it obviously paved the way for Sleeping Dogs later down the road. But I feel this is a really fun game that has a lot of cool police mechanics in there, like being a cop, and it's really fun. Like you can flash a badge and get people scared, or you can like pull out your gun and do a warning shot to make people like take notice of you. And it's really cool because that kind of actions, those kind of police actions, can either aggro the enemy or make them surrender. It's a really cool gameplay loop in this that I really enjoy. That's True Crime New York City. The next game is a arcade staple for me. Classic is an understatement here. I'm talking about a game called Gauntlet Dark Legacy. This game is a game I never played before. I picked it up at the London gaming market. Been after this one for a while, wanted to get it, and I was pleasantly surprised by how fun this game is. If you've played any kind of Gauntlet game, be it the original classic arcade game, the NES version, it's on the Master System and stuff like that. If you've played any kind of Gauntlet game, even the PS4 reboot came out, that's awesome as well. This is that kind of concept. I think it's perfected it. This is pure arcade fun. Find the keys, unlock new areas, and you're literally trying to find these rune stones to basically seal this evil back in where it came from. The combat is fun and addictive, and just it's all out just arcade fun, man. It's so much fun. And it holds that spirit of that original Gauntlet game in there as well. You'll just be chased by hordes of enemies. It's more, I say arcade because it's not a hack and slash in that extent. You're not actually doing proper melee combat. You're actually throwing weapons at people. So I chose like the warrior class character. You're throwing axes at people. It's so satisfying. If you want a really pure, just fun, addictive arcade experience from the PS2, you can't go wrong with Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I think the graphics look great for the time. It's got a really colourful, presentation. Like I said, the moment-to-moment gameplay is really fun and addictive, and you get power-ups as well that are really fun to use. You've got magic spells you can use that like do area of effect damage and wipe out enemies. It's just a ton of fun there, man. This game is like fun. If you're just looking for turn your brain off, just a simple game where you hunt down keys to unlock doors and gain collectibles and treasure and stuff, this is the game for you, I think. It's just so much fun. That's Gauntlet Dark Legacy. We are moving on to some survival horror. You know me, guys, if you've watched the channel for any length of time, I love the Resident Evil series, the Silent Hill series, all sorts of survival horror games I love. So when I picked this game up ages ago, I knew I had to give it a try, and it's definitely a recommend from me. That is Extermination. This is one of the earlier games I remember seeing for the PS2 when it was being promoted and hyped up. It's Sony's kind of own interpretation, their own kind of answer to the Resident Evil and survival horror genres. The movement is like nothing we've had in these survival horror games before. It's got really smooth controls, and it's just really fun to play. This game is definitely inspired by John Carpenter's 1982 horror classic, The Thing. You are going to this research facility in Antarctica that's like something's gone wrong. They sent these military guys out there, and you find out there's this like just virus just wiping out people and making them mutate into horrible monsters. And it's really cool because it brings that mechanic into the game. So you can be infected in this game. So you've got these you got these vaccine stations where you can like heal yourself, but you've got to get these vaccination files to be able to heal yourself. So you're not just watching your health bar and your ammo count. You're looking at this infection rate as well to see how infected you are. Because once you get to like 90%, you're more or less dead at that point. The game is really great at adding that urgency to the proceedings, and I feel like the game is just loads of fun to play. The combat is your usual survival horror affair. In this game you start with this machine gun, and it can be upgraded as well. So it's got a really cool upgrade mode to it. Really ahead of its time for the survival horror genre, and I feel like Sony knocked it out of the park with this one. Really recommend it. It's really cool. That's Extermination. Next up is a gothic hard rock, weird witchcrafty, lycanthropy gothic adventure game that goes completely forgotten these days, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's called Primal. This is about it's kind of your usual kind of chosen one kind of story, like the Buffy the Vampire Slayers or the Charmed ones, those kind of usual chosen one stories. But yeah, this one is about this girl. Her boyfriend gets killed by a demon, and she has chosen to go into the world and basically get her revenge and hopefully wipe out the demons and revive her lost love, basically. But the mechanics of this game is you can literally shapeshift into different demons, and different enemies have different weaknesses to different beast modes, for example. And I just remember it being really cool. And you use those transformations to solve puzzles as well. So for example, you're too weak in your human form, so maybe you need to be a bit stronger, so you might turn into like a werewolf where you've got more strength so you can move things out of the way and stuff like that. It's really cool. You are accompanied by a little gargoyle, and he can solve puzzles as well. He's got his own thing where he can go into smaller accessible areas, and he can turn to stone to stop himself being hurt and stuff. There's a lot of things going on in this game, and I think it's really, really cool. If you like that kind of gothic horror and that kind of, I guess, sort of like Tomb Raider-esque gameplay, it's got that Tomb Raider vibe in there. So imagine like demonic gothic horror crossed with Tomb Raider. I think you might enjoy this one. That's Primal. This last game is probably my favourite game out of the bunch. I played this a couple of weeks ago. I played it for like a good few hours. I really enjoyed this one. It's a pretty much modernised reimagining of Ghouls and Ghosts from Capcom, and this is Maximo. This is a great reimagining of an arcade classic brought into the 3 dimensions. I think this game is absolutely just perfect in what it does. It's absolutely brutal hard. This game will kick your ass from here until next week. It will actually beat the shit out of you, and you'll just love it regardless, because it's got that vibe of like one more go, I got this. And it's just so much fun. The combat is simple, but it can be rock hard. The platforming is pixel precise. You've got to be bang on. When you make a jump, you've got to be confident you're going to make that jump, or you're just going to fall to your death. You can fall into lava, or you're going to drown. There's so much here. It's all wrapped up in this colourful kind of almost playful aesthetic, and it's really deceiving, because you think it's just going to be a fun little, you're a knight in shining armour. It's going to be a fun little kind of, going around hack and slash adventure. It's not. It's a rock hard arcade kind of style adventure game, adventure platformer. It is brutal hard, but I had a blast with this one. I really want to get the sequel as well. I've heard the sequel's great as well, but this original one, Maximo, it's such a great evolution of that ghouls and ghosts and goblins formula brought into, you know, the PS2 era, into that three dimensions, I suppose. It's got that, it just retains everything you want from that, you know, ghouls and ghosts kind of idea, DNA, you could say, and really kind of just brings it lovingly into 3D. One of the best kind of franchises to really make their step into 3D from 2D, in my opinion. This does it perfectly. It's rock hard. It will kick your ass, like I said, and I loved every minute of it, what I played of it. I do want to jump back on it. It is really difficult. You know, you've got to be very, very specific with the way you approach the game. The thing is, you will die a lot in this game. You will fail a lot of the time. But similar to these days, where people talk about Dark Souls and their difficulty, this is similar in the idea that you will replay these levels over and over, trying to beat them. That you will learn the patterns of enemies, you will learn the way things are, and you will be able to beat these levels really quickly after some time. And that's where the satisfying thing comes from, finally beating levels that are absolutely just stomping you into the ground. This game is pretty much like an arcade classic brought into modern era. It's similar to Gauntlet. It retained that arcade competitive nature to it, that you just want to keep playing it until you beat the level. It's so fun. That's Maximo. So that's it, guys. That is 5 PS2 games I want you to try. Let me know in the comments if you've played any of these and what your thoughts are on them. And always, let's continue to build a PS2 collection.